Hey, what's up, BJ? Very basic Bible here. Let's go look at a lectionary. Share screen. My face looks a little dim because one of my lamps doesn't work all that well. Okay, who cares about my face? We're looking at the Bible. Look at a lectionary. I've got them bookmarked. So I went and searched for them on Google. And then there's this little star thing here, and I hit that, and then I hit these three lines up here in the right. See, there's a bookmark there. Yeah. I'm like, we're going to learn the Bible. Now I'm just telling you to follow my mouse. Let's see. Assyrian lectionary, Coptic lectionary, Catholic, the Revised Common Lectionary. That's the basic one that almost everybody does. Lutheran, Greek Orthodox, Anglican. Excuse me. Let's go look at a Coptic. Okay. Lectionary are usually daily Bible readings. They go in order. That they set them up ahead of time. You know, um, I don't use them. I don't go, okay, what's today's lectionary reading? Let's read that. I just use a lectionary to kind of if I pick and choose, I can pick and choose what Bible readings I want to do. Well, then I'll pick and choose the ones I want. I'm in charge. It's not necessarily bad. I might choose the same ones. I might like stress which ones do I choose. Well, then I start making my own list. Well, then I'm like, maybe I can schedule some for each day. I could do that, or I could choose a Bible reading plan. Read these two chapters and these two chapters. I mean, that's just two. That's just four chapters a day, which is fine. Bible reading plan though. A lectionary puts together the Bible readings by smart people, church people, in a specific way to get themes from all over the Bible. They do the work for me. Now I just go and look at this. Um, since it's a Coptic church, Vespers, that's a kind of service. We have Sunday morning service. You hear of revival services, you hear prayer meetings. Vespers is a type of meeting, but we're not worried about the type of service. If you look, there's Psalms, and there's a gospel reading. You go down, Matins, another type of service. There's a psalm, gospel reading, Pauline epistle, Hebrews, Catholic epistle, First, Second Peter, First, Second, and Third John, James, and Jude. Those are called Catholic epistles. Acts of the Apostles. Okay, cool. So there's a lot here. We could keep going. Synaxarium. I'm not sure. I know Psalm God. You see, okay. We'll start at the top, and we'll go through the Psalms, the Gospel, and then the Psalm and the Gospel. We'll do that. We'll read them, and we'll see how the Bible relates as a whole to each other. Okay. Like I said, you can go to different lectionaries, and they will give different readings. So the reason we do it this way is because it's kind of like if you set up a maze for yourself and you know the path of the maze, and then you say, okay, time me, go. You know the path of the maze. You set it up yourself. It's not challenging. Someone else sets up a maze and you go on blind, ready, go. Force you to think about it, right? Yeah, that's what we're trying to do here. Study. All right. Psalm 105, 14 through 15. He permitted no one to do them wrong. Yes, he rebuked kings for their sakes, saying, do not touch my anointed ones and do my prophets no harm. Without any context, we don't know who the he is. Who permitted no one to do them? Who's them? Um, he permitted no one to do no wrong. Yes. Yes. Why say yes? I don't get it. He rebuked kings for their sakes. I'm assuming these are kind of parallel. He permitted no one to do them wrong. He rebuked kings for their sake. Okay, permitted no one to do them wrong. When you rebuke somebody, you tell them, hey, stop doing that thing. Hey, you shouldn't be doing. Hey, you need to shape up. Hey, look, that was really bad. In a sense, you could be saying that you are permitting them not to do wrong because you're telling them to stop. If they, you're telling them what to do bad. If you're influencing them in that way, if you rebuke them, he permitted no one. That kind of sounds passive, permitted. The Bible, like I'm gonna permit you to do no one wrong. Shouldn't it be like he made sure no one did them no wrong? Why would he say permitted? Like usually you permit someone to do something. Why is he permitting them to not do? He permitted. It's kind of strange to me, you know? The Bible, especially the Old Testament, often uses words, passive words for active words, such as permitted them to do no wrong. In other words, he didn't let them do anything wrong. He made sure nothing wrong. But we don't even know who the he is. Well, okay. Yes, he rebuked kings for their sakes, just like other places in the Old Testament. Parallel. Hebrew people wrote in parallels. Two sentences would look very different, but actually be getting across the same idea. Sometimes you got three or four sentences doing that. It's like, whoa. He rebuked kings for their sakes, I think, is the way that he is permitting no one to do them wrong. There and the them, I believe, are the same. He rebuked them. When you rebuke somebody, you tell them something, you do something to them, you say something to them. I guess you could like beat them up. I rebuke you, bam. Well, you normally talk to them. The Bible, a big thing is on the spoken word. Spoken word is huge in the Bible. So how did he rebuke them? He rebuked kings for their sakes. So not only did he permit no one to do them wrong, he permitted kings not to do them wrong. He rebuked. Hey, you want to see how he rebuked? He did not let people do them wrong. He's rebuking kings, and what is he doing? Do not touch my anointed one, kings. Kings, I'm talking to you. Don't touch my anointed ones. Do my prophets no harm. If you look, we got capital M, capital M, capital H. I'm assuming that's God because who are the anointed ones? The prophets. Who are they? Who do they belong to? You can't say, well, they belong to the kings. The kings are the one getting rebuked. Whoever this is says, don't touch, hey, kings, don't touch my anointed. Maybe they're Israel. Maybe Israel is saying kings don't touch my like the nation of Israel in general. Could be, except the nation of Israel had a king over it. Not at first, not for a long time. First, they had judges. Okay, maybe it's the judges. The judges rebuke kings. So there maybe the leaders of Israel, like the judges, let's say, um, people in charge, holy people that God directly appoints. Maybe they are rebuking kings from other nations. Maybe. The problem is judges and holy people that are in charge are often anointed ones. They're often the prophets. So God would if God's rebuking God, if the judges, the he and the yes, the he here, if that's like people in charge of the nation of Israel, because we're in the Old Testament, nation of Israel. If that's people in charge of the nation of Israel, they would be rebuking. Okay, yeah, I guess that could work. Hey guys, you kings, I'm an anointed one, and I'm rebuking you. I'm saying don't touch my anointed ones. One anointed one could say about others, hey, they're mine. One prophet could say about prophets, hey, they're mine. Hey, my prophets, I'm a prophet, and these are my fellow prophets. Do my prophets no harm. Come on now. Could. Let's cheat real quick. Now, when we do lectionary things, I'm assuming it's God talking to kings of other nations, but even kings of Israel, since often they went off into crazy land. The kings would often, the kings of Israel and sometimes of Judah would often do bad things, would often essentially become non-Israel. Drink a coffee, drink a water. Yeah. I'm gonna turn my phone on vibrate just in case it goes off and suddenly I'm like, ugh. Now remember, in the lectionary readings, we're taking what we've learned from very basic Bible elsewhere and we're trying to apply it and go quickly. We're assuming more than usual. Now I've went pretty slow through this, and I'm now gonna go look at Psalms 105. Normally an lectionary wouldn't do that because I'm trying to take everything we've already learned. It's kind of like in the middle of a football game. Okay. You don't, the coach doesn't go out there and say, okay, guys, we're going to run this play just for practice. No, you're in a football game. You're running real plays. Like now, the coach might have people on the side doing warm-ups or reminding them and then, of what to do. Hey, step this way, step that way. Well, then they hear a whistle. Oh no, you've got to get out there and play now. Okay, practice is they're playing. That's what we're trying to do here. We're like in the middle of the game. I get training at work. Then the boss says, okay, now go out and work. This isn't train. This is to go out and work. What's part of our training? To go back and look at context. Psalm 105. What's part of our training? To talk through it meticulously, like I just did. Try not to assume too much. Try to come up with different options. We don't even know who's evil here, except that generally, and who's good. Are there good and evil? I mean, usually somebody bad gets rebuked, but a bad guy could rebuke a good guy. But generally, anointed ones and prophets in the Bible are good, but there are evil prophets. I mean, it's weird. Saul, king of Israel, was anointed. He went, oop. Yeah. Several of the kings, I believe, did. All right. Psalm 105, 14 through 15. Let's go all the way down. 15, right there. 14. Okay. I'm not sure what Bible translation this is, even. Okay, now at the parallel Bible, 7 translations, let's look at the ESV. He allowed no one to oppress them. He permitted no one to do them wrong. Okay. He rebuked kings on their account. Yes, he rebuked kings for their sakes. Okay. Saying, so he rebuked kings on their accounts, saying, touch not my anointed ones, do my prophets no harm. Okay. I noticed something. I was looking real quick with my eyes here and then there, like on the left side of the screen, the right side of the screen. Look at the NIV. He allowed no one to oppress them. For their sakes, he rebuked kings. He permitted no one to do them wrong. Yes, he rebuked. Okay. So it's not, I thought, do not touch my anointed ones, do my prophets no harm. Saying, do not touch my anointed ones and do my prophets no harm. It's pretty close to the NIV. Some of it is. Look, what's this one? The CSB. He allowed. Look at that. He, instead of permitted, he allowed no one to oppress them. I'm not going to allow you to oppress them. Okay, who's the he? Let's go up a few verses. When they were few in number, verse 12 NET, or right over here. When they were few in number, just a very few, and resident aliens within it. Who were resident aliens in the Bible? The Israelites were resident aliens in in Egypt. They wandered from nation to nation, from one kingdom to another. They wandered. That's what happened during the Exodus. They left Egypt. They're walking around with Moses during the Exodus. They're going from nation to nation. You know, if nations are small enough and you're marching around and you know there's several nations right near each other, it's very possible. There's Moab, Ammon, Edom. Yeah, they were few in number, resident aliens. They wandered from nation to nation, from one kingdom to another. He let no one oppress them. He disciplined kings for their sake, saying, "Do not touch my anointed ones. Do not harm my prophets." So while they're wandering around as aliens, he, we're assuming it's God. That's what that's my assumption. He's not letting anyone discipline them, anyone touch them and such. Right? Yeah. Let's go a little higher. But yeah, he is the Lord of our art. He is the Lord our God. He carries out judgment throughout the earth. He always remembers his covenantal decree, the promise he made to 1,000 generations, the promise he made to Abraham, the promise he made by oath to Isaac. He gave it to Jacob as a decree, to Israel as a lasting promise. What's the decree? Saying, "To you I will give the land of Canaan as your portion of your inheritance." When they were few, then they, the people he gave the decree to, were few in number, just a very few resident aliens within the land. I will give you the land. They wandered from nation to nation, one kingdom to another, but he let no one oppress them. So, man, he's protecting. Don't touch my chosen ones. Don't harm my prophets. He called down famine upon the earth. He cut off all the food supply. He sent a man ahead of them. Joseph was sold as a servant. That's back in Genesis. So, so we're talking about like I said, hey, this sounds like the Exodus, but now they're going back to Genesis. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who were the three chosen heads of the and their household was chosen. They were chosen, so all their family was chosen. They were wandering around in the land of Canaan. So this might not even be the Exodus. This could be God. This is turning out to be better. This isn't it? Maybe this will still be a lectionary. We'll go look real quick at the other ones. Um, God makes the decretal covenant with Abraham in Genesis chapter 12. Abraham and his whole household will be blessed, and everyone who blesses him will be blessed. Abraham had a lot of people in his house, tons of people. Had lots of kids who had kids and had lots of servants who also would have had families and such. Yeah, yeah, servants and such back then. They had families and such. He had a lot of people in his household. Then he has Isaac, the kid. He's got a lot of people in his household. Isaac does because he gets all the people who all the servants of Abraham get inherited in their families by Isaac, right? They could go free, or they get inherited. They could stay with Isaac. Hey, we're going to work with you. Isaac could say you can stay or you can leave. I'm not sure exactly how it works. Isaac's got it, and then Jacob has all the people. And then Jacob has all those. Yep. You know what happened to Jacob though? He ran away from home. So Abraham is wondering. He goes into Canaan. Then he's like, I don't like it here. He goes down to Egypt. Then he goes back up to Canaan, and he goes to several places. So he's going from nation to nation. Egypt tried to harm Abraham because Abraham did something boneheaded, and God didn't let them. Abimelech, a king, tries to do something hard to Abraham because again, Abraham was being a bonehead. God doesn't let him. Okay, then Isaac. Isaac is wandering around. Abraham's dead. Isaac and his family are wandering around. And there are several people that try to push Isaac off their land. This is all in Genesis 12 through, I don't know, like 40. Isaac's going around. Isaac digs a well, people steal it or they stop it up. He's like going from place to place, tries to dig a well for water. So he's going from place to place. Well, eventually Jacob comes. What happens to Jacob? Jacob is born. Jacob eventually makes his brother mad, runs away, goes back to his home country, finds himself a wife, right? Eventually comes back to the land of Canaan, is living there. One of his sons goes down to Egypt. Then they all go down to Egypt eventually. I mean, nation to nation. God doesn't let Egypt harm them. In fact, God lets kind of makes it to where Egypt helps them. That's kind of cool. Yeah. So I think hmm, that's Genesis 12 through Genesis about 50, because then there comes Joseph in around Genesis 40, sold as a slave. Okay. That's pretty okay. Okay. So we know right there. Let's read the Gospel to Luke. We might only read two of these. We might not read the rest of these. Right here, right here. I don't know. All right. I'll try and go quicker on this one. And as he spoke, a certain Pharisee asked him to dine with him, that he is Jesus. Okay. So Jesus went in and sat down to eat. When the Pharisee saw it, he marveled that he had not first washed before dinner. Washed? Oh, you got to wash your hands? No, like a ceremonial washing, like a ritual washing. We get baptized once and we're done. Well, certain church traditions, they go and they dip stuff in water and they kind of put it on their forehead or something, like that. Certain religions, they do ritual cleaning with water and different stuff. Yeah, yeah. The Jews, they had this whole system in Jesus' time of ritual washing. The Pharisees, like, you didn't wash before dinner? He marveled. He's like, what? Then the Lord said to him, now you Pharisees make the outside of the cup and dish clean, but your inward part is full of greed and wickedness. Oh man, Jesus. Whoa. Just came straight out and said it. Man, this is near the end. Jesus has had many encounters with Pharisees, and they should know what to expect. Um, Foolish ones, did not he, that is God, who made the outside, make the inside also? So Jesus is like, hey, I didn't wash. No, I didn't wash my hands. I don't know, wash my feet, my face. I didn't do the ritual washing on the outside. You Pharisees clean the outside of the cup and dish. You clean your outside, you do the washing. But inside you're full of green wickedness. Jesus is like, you clean, you wash, but guess what? You're still greedy and wicked, even though you've cleaned. Did God, who made the outside, not make the inside also? Clean the inside, but rather give alms of such things as you had. Then indeed all things are clean to you. So don't wash expecting, well, then you're clean. Instead, do good deeds like giving alms to the poor. Then you won't be full of greed and wickedness. Makes sense. But woe to you, Pharisees, for you tithe spices, mint, and rue, and all manner of herbs, and pass by justice and the love of God. You ought to have done without leaving the other undone. You should tithe, but don't pass by justice and the love of God. Woe to you, Pharisees, for you love the best seats in the synagogues and greetings in the marketplaces. The best. It's all about the outside. Woe to you. I'm going to highlight it. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like graves which are not seen, and the men who walk over them are not aware of them. Graves that are not seen, graves have dead things in them. When men walk over graves, when Jews walk over a grave, they become unclean ritually. Jesus is saying, you're like a grave, and whenever men come to you, you make them unclean like you are. Man, you think you do all the right thing, but you're so dirty inside that when people come to you, you're the Pharisees. People come to you to get spiritual guidance and religious teaching. You make them unclean though, because just like if they went to a grave but didn't know it, they walk over it. Then one of the lawyers. A lawyer is a teacher of the law. They know the law forward and backwards. They teach it, the Old Testament law, Genesis, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and other books of the Old Testament. Surely they know their books of the Bible. They are lawyers. One of them answered and said to him, Teacher, by saying these things, you reproach us also. And Jesus said, Woe to you also, lawyers, for you load men with burdens hard to bear, and you yourselves do not touch the burdens with one of your fingers. Woe to you, for you build the tombs of the prophets, and your fathers killed them. In fact, you bear witness that you approved the deeds of your fathers, the fathers who killed the prophets. Their fathers killed the prophets, but they bury the prophets and build tombs for them. That sounds like it could be good, right? Hey, we wouldn't have done this. Our fathers did it. You know, our father, we're going to build tombs for them, but it's Jesus says they bear witness to approve the deed of their fathers. For indeed you kill them, and for they, the fathers, indeed killed the prophets, and you build the prophets' tombs. So you're admitting that your fathers did bad things, but it says you approve the deeds of your fathers. Sounds kind of like strange logic. Obviously, Jesus knows what he's talking about. Therefore, the wisdom of God said, I will send them prophets and apostles. Some of them they will kill and persecute. The wisdom of God says this. I'll send them prophets and apostles. Some of them they will kill and some they will persecute. In order that the blood of all the prophets which was shed from the foundation of the world may be required of this generation, from the blood of Abel to the blood of Zechariah, who perished between the altar and the temple. Yes, I say to you, it shall be required of this generation. Wow. Jesus is saying all of this is going to be on you guys. I can see a match between here and here. Up here in Psalm 105, hey, Israel, hey, my chosen people, I didn't let anybody do you wrong. I rebuke kings for your sakes. I didn't let anyone touch my anointed ones. What's down here? What's down here? Israel killed their own prophets. Israel was touching the anointed ones and doing the prophets harms. And now God is rebuking who's got Jesus rebuked who? Kings for their sakes? No. Jesus rebuked them. What has Israel done? Israel has taken this psalm, has taken the point of the psalm, God's protecting us and rebuking people, and they've turned it upside down. They are now rebuking themselves. They are now harming themselves, and God is rebuking them. That's crazy. They've done like a complete 180, is what Jesus is saying. Yeah, I say to you, it shall be required of this generation. They better repent. Pretty cool when you can take the Old Testament stuff and then you can look at the New Testament, you compare it, and you find like, whoa, I never thought about that. Oh, I like that. That's why we do this lecture. I kind of want to read the next ones. Okay, we're gonna read them really quick. He sent Moses his servant and Aaron whom he had chosen, apostles and prophets, anointed ones. They performed his signs among them and wonders in the land of Ham, that's Canaan, that they might observe his statutes and keep his laws. Okay. They performed, Moses and Aaron were sent by God, performed signs among the Israelites, that the Israelites might observe his statutes and keep his laws. Okay. I'm pretty certain that's what that means. All right. And after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John, his brother. And we're still at Psalm 105. Psalm 105. Oh, pretty cool. 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John, his brother, led them up on a high mountain by themselves. He was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun. His clothes became as white as light. And behold, Moses and Elijah. Elijah is a prophet, Moses and anointed. Moses is a prophet and anointed. He sent Moses his servant. Look at this, right? What's it say up here? For will you build the tombs of the prophets? Elijah was a prophet. He's a prophet. Moses and Elijah appeared to them, talking with him. Moses and Elijah appeared to Jesus, Peter, James, and John. Starts talking with Jesus. Then Peter answered and said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, let us here make here three tabernacles, tents, dwellings, booths. Let's get sticks and rocks and build them up to like a little shelter. One for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah. While Peter was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. Suddenly, a voice came out of the cloud saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear him. When the disciples heard it, they fell on their faces and were greatly afraid. Yeah, I'm up on a mountain. Old dead people appear, start talking to Jesus, and then a cloud appears, and then I hear a voice talking about this is my son. Earlier they heard this is my son at the baptism of Jesus. They're like, oh my gosh, we're encountering God on my face now. They are, yep, freaking out because God is right there. But Jesus came and touched them and said, Arise, do not be afraid. When they lifted up their eyes, they saw no one only but Jesus. Now, as they came down from the mountain, Jesus commanded them, saying, Tell the vision to no one until the Son of Man is risen from the dead. This matches, I think, pretty good, these two, because you got Moses and Aaron. Here you got Moses and Elijah. Performed signs and wonders among them. Okay. What's the sign and wonder? Dude's coming back from the dead. There's a cloud. Suddenly a voice comes out of the cloud. That's signs and wonders, all right. Why does he perform signs and wonders? That they might observe his statutes and keep his laws. Jesus says, Tell no one the vision until the Son of Man is risen from the dead. Then go tell him about it. You can go tell him. And when rising from the dead is one of the biggest ones, people are going to, the biggest signs. You you tell them about that stuff, that they might observe statutes and keep his laws. Yeah. Unlike these prophets who did stupid things. Don't be like them. Be like Jesus says to be here. Hey guys, my clothes just got done in the laundry. So I'm going to let y'all go fold my clothes, and then go head off for the day. I love y'all much. Lord God, wonderful and awesome and mighty. Help us to be the prophets that you want us to be. At risk of sounding corny, God, just, yeah, renew our minds. Help us think on such things. Um, Let us not pass by the widow and the orphan. All that stuff, Lord. Let us not, tithe and do empty rituals. Let us not, I need to read my Bible enough and go to church enough and pray enough. And while I've been on mission trips, all the while neglecting the inner, help us cultivate the inner life, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen. We'll see you guys on the next very basic Bible. Mwah.